So here is the main web page for the Walk as Jesus Walked podcast. And I will share this also. If you're watching this on YouTube, down in the description below, so you'll just have the link. But in this podcast, there are many podcasts that are already listed. So just to give you a little insight, on a Tuesday a couple of months ago, I woke up early in the morning, and the Lord put on my heart to start a podcast. And of course, I didn't do podcasts. So as Moses argued with God, can you find someone else to do it? I wasn't reluctant. I just didn't know how to do it. And he pushed me and said, no, I want you to start a podcast. And I said, okay, Lord, you got it. And within a couple of
Yeah.
hours, I had a podcast, but I didn't know what it was about. So I went to the Lord and said, Lord, what do you want this podcast to be about? And he said, I want you to share so that others will walk as I walk. So walk as Jesus walked. So that's the name of the podcast, is Walk as Jesus Walked podcast. And if you look now on the screen, you'll see at the bottom that April 4th was the very first podcast. And that was nothing more than an introduction to the Walk as Jesus Walked podcast. The things that the Lord put on my heart that day, I just podcast. Then the next one was having a personal relationship with Jesus, and then talking about the new covenant and so forth. And then in here you can see Laura's testimony. You can see Hannah's testimony. And where this shows up is all of these different sites: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast Podcasts. It's on Google Podcasts, Castro, and you'll see all of these different places where this podcast is available.
Okay.
Up in the top here, you can see right here takes you to the YouTube channel. So if we were to click on this, it would take us to our YouTube channel where all the YouTube video and messages such as today's will be listed. But this is the main podcast site. The next one was to support the show. So anyone who feels that the Lord puts on their heart that they want to help support this, because I do pay for this, if it's just something that the Lord wanted to put on their heart, they could go in and just click that little button, and they could lend support to the podcast. And then this one here takes you to another website, which is on MeWe, which is nothing more than an area where I list the podcasts. But you could find the link to the YouTube on there. So just so you know, you go in there, there's a few things you can look at. And
yeah, definitely. I'll do that when I get home on my computer.
Amen. So an episode will get posted as the Lord leads, typically once or twice a week. And because I did up the subscription on it, so that I have more time, I can actually put up to 3 hours of material in a month, whereas before I could only put 2, but I upped the subscription so that we could do more.
Very good.
So it's just something that you could go to access whatever the Lord is putting out here by way of Walk as Jesus Walked in this podcast. And that's it.
Okay.